So in this video, I want to talk about how to get a visa inside Japan. Because in my last video, I talked about how you can find a job inside Japan. In that video before there, I talked about how I found a job in Japan and my experience about it. So to complete everything, we will talk about visa. Because basically to live in Japan and to be in Japan, your two biggest problems are work and income and a visa. So basically, let's first talk about the five most basic visas, how to get them, what you need for them, and for which purpose you should use them. So basically, the first and most general visa that I want to tell you about is the working holiday visa. And I think many people already heard about it. You need to see if you're in the list of applicable countries that can do it, but most European countries, I think, can do it, and other countries like Canada, America, Australia, and so on. And basically, this is the easiest visa, I think the most used visa to go to Japan because the requirements for this visa are not that high. So basically, if you're between 18 and 30 in your age, you can take the visa. Um, and you need to just show them that you have some kind of money. So that you have at least a flight ticket forth and back, or that you have enough money to buy a flight ticket to go back. And that is basically the requirements. And with this visa, you can stay up to 1 year inside Japan. Just you need to like fulfill some motivational letter. And basically, in this motivational letter, Japan just wants you to tell them, well, why you're there, basically. So in this letter, well, if you just say you want to travel different places inside Japan, it's okay. Because this visa is usually for traveling, and well, they kind of put it as well having some cultural exchange between countries, kind of like this. But I talked to the visa office in Japan too because I wanted to find out something. Because you're usually allowed to work inside Japan, even if you have a working holiday visa. But the main requirement is that the purpose of your stay is not the work, but that you travel. And well, don't put me down on this, but basically, even if you work at an izakaya or at a Japanese language school, for example, or you have some kind of internship, then you can maybe, I'm talking about a friend, get to Japan with a working holiday visa and still have some work. But the importance is that it's not 40 hours in a week, and that is usually just a part of your travels. And also, some countries, I know that Germany belongs to it, can also renew this visa. And this is maybe an important information. If you renew a visa, then you need to usually go back to your own country. If you change your visa inside Japan, some people can stay inside the country, but usually you need to go back to your country, get a new visa, and then go back inside. And next to the working holiday visa, well, if you renew it, by the way, you get a second year. So some countries can stay in Japan for a total of 2 years. So 2 times 1 year, if you want to say it like this. And well, maybe next to this visa, the most easiest visa you can get, well, I will not make a separate part about this, but it's the travel visa. For this, you can stay 3 months inside Japan, basically. And you can do this twice a year. So some countries, you just go inside Japan and they give you this visa like automatically. But here I talk about more long-term visas. So that's why I didn't put it in as a separate category. So yeah, that's about the working holiday visa. And well, I can recommend it to the most people because you don't need a study background, you don't need work experience, you just need to show that you have some money. And usually there are many sites where you can find work inside Japan. Of course, this will be some work like English teaching or working at an izakaya, or I heard from many people, um, especially women in this case, that they worked in some kind of establishments, if I can say it like this. Well, just find the way that works for you. And well, for working holiday, even some basic Japanese knowledge is needed. So you cannot do your whole work just in English, at least when you talk to your supervisors or anyone, you should know a bit Japanese. Well, it's not a visa requirement, but I trust me, it will help you much inside Japan. So in this case, you can take a look at my Japanese courses on my website if you want to prepare yourself for going to Japan. The second visa, already a visa that I had experience with, is the student visa. So if you're a student at a Japanese university, for example, an exchange student, you can get a student visa. And usually, this student visa and also the categories that I will talk about now, usually the visa is the easiest part to get. And you will maybe think, and when we talk about visa inside Japan, we always say that the visa is hard to get, the visa is stressful. No, actually, it's the certificate of eligibility. And now you will maybe ask me, what is a certificate of eligibility and why should it be more important than the visa? And this is what I will tell you now. So basically, the certificate of eligibility is a proof of some person inside Japan or some usually some institution that they say, well, if this guy fucks up, it's our problem. Basically, kind of like this. Or, well, we will care for this stupid foreigner that they will not do any mistakes when they're inside Japan, if we can say it like this. And basically, you need some institution to give it to you. In case of the student visa, you need the foreign institution, the university, to give you that visa. In my case, it was the Chiba University, and they're then basically responsible for you. So to get that student visa, you need them. You don't need to do that much. They will usually um, ask you for the information or ask you to fill out some papers, but usually they will do all the visa stuff with the visa office. And this can take some time. For example, the working holiday visa, you can basically get it in 1 week, at least here in Germany. For the student visa, if I remember correctly, we applied for that visa April or May, and we got it at round about like September or August. So it takes some time, and this was the speed visa system process. So this was even the fast version. So it's like, wait, okay. And when you get this visa, you can stay in Japan for 1 year, basically. So, because some people have an exchange semester, just half a year. In my case, I had exchange year, so I got a visa for 1 year. And for this visa, we also needed to have some proof of finances. And this is the hard part because that's also a small side story that I have. So basically, I was talking to the person at our university that is responsible for, well, our university students going into foreign countries. And she said, well, I need a proof of your finances. Okay, how much do you need? And she said, you need 10,000 euro. And I was like, okay, so I don't have 10,000 euros? And she said, yeah, just ask your parents to send it to you. And I kind of tried to tell her that not everyone's family or parents can just send you 10,000 euros like this. And this is a tip that I can give you that not many people know. I don't know why it's not commonly told to people, but anyway, um, this proof of finance doesn't just need to be money. You don't need to just prove that you have money, you just need to prove that you can finance this. In other words, if you get a scholarship, in my case, I got a scholarship, or if you get some other financial help, then you can send them a proof of this. And this will also be enough to prove that you have enough money. And with this, you can get this visa too. And that's basically everything about the student visa. So now we come to the next visa, and this is the work visa. And it is basically the same system as we have before. Usually, at least what I researched is that you can get it from 3 months up to 5 years. And the thing with the work visa is, again, you're dependent on a person. As I was dependent on the Chiba University for my student visa, you will be dependent on the company you work at. So the company will usually sponsor your visa. The company will usually be responsible for you. So in this case, you will need to talk with that company about this kind of visa situation. And I would be careful about this one because I had many stories that people got a visa from a Japanese company and they kind of used it, well, in a shady way to take advantage of those people because you're bound to that company. If that company doesn't want to sponsor your visa anymore, you need to go back immediately. So there I would be a bit careful, but basically, uh, this will be mostly taken care of about your company. I think there you don't need to do that many things. If you already found a work and the company is willing to sponsor your visa, then basically you will get that work visa. And now, for everything that is not related to work, but you're kind of working or you're kind of doing something, there's something that is called Tokte Katsudo. And this basically means designated activities. And those can be many things. For example, in my case, I'm doing an internship. This is considered a designated activity. So I need a designated activities visa for this. The difference here is that, at least for the internship stuff, I need to be university students. You also need to have some finances that you can prove, as far as I know. But it's really hard to tell what exactly you need because depending on which purpose you have, it's different. So, for example, if you want to research at the Japanese university, or if you're a doctor at the Japanese university, or if you're a doctor at the Japanese university, you need this kind of visa. There's some categories, and I was like kind of shocked how oddly specific those categories are. If you want to help building ships inside Japan, if you want to care for older people inside Japan, there's certain industries that have like a Tokte Katsudo visa. I don't know, that was kind of funny for me. That is basically the way how you can use this kind of visa. And now we come to the last visa, the J-Find visa. And this is basically the visa if you don't want to be a slave for a Japanese company, but you want to find work inside Japan. So the J-Find visa, you need a bachelor's degree and you need some kind of work experience. So you need to prove that you're a skilled labor force, basically. And by doing this, Japan will say, okay, you're a skilled laborer. We will take you to Japan. You have 2 years. And in those 2 years, you need to find a job. If you find a job, then you get a working visa. And so basically, this visa is used for job hunting. So if you're a person that has much work experience, for example, I know a person that did bachelor degrees, and basically he worked the whole time in his first bachelor. In the second bachelor, he continued this work. So he already has some years of work experience, which he can use for this kind of visa. So if you maybe don't know any Japanese, but you still worked for a longer time at some industry, then I would advise you to get this J-Find visa. And basically, there it's also written that you need about 200,000 yen of savings. That's basically half a like one salary in Japan, or less than one salary inside Japan. So this is like manageable. But yeah. And if you still have questions about visa, like I had, and if no one gives you an answer to your email, then there's a telephone number that you can call. So I will put like the link down in the description too if you have some like specific questions to your situations. I hope that I could help you with this video about some visa things. And yeah, like I said before, if you want to know more about how to find a job inside Japan, you can watch my last 2 videos.